Allina Health is proud to support your Loons as the official healthcare provider of Minnesota United. Every day, we provide expert care to keep the team in top form on match day. All across Minnesota and western Wisconsin, you can find the same dedicated providers just a short drive away. It's expert care when and how you need it. Schedule your visit at allinahealth.org today. Allina Health, all together better. Welcome back to another fantastic episode of Sound of the Loons podcast, brought to you by Allina Health. I am your host, Zarek Valentine, and I am with former national team and Buda Glimt teammate and the Louisville FC head coach, Danny Cruz. Welcome to the podcast officially.
Thanks for having me, Z. Good to see you again, buddy.
Dude, it's been way too long. The last time I saw you was maybe at your wedding. Actually, no, you guys played in Houston with Louisville, but before that, though, was at your wedding.
No way. That is the last time, wasn't it?
Yeah. You got married.
That's a long time.
I know. You got married in Houston, north of the city, and then lo and behold, I actually got picked up eventually by Houston, so then we kind of able to cross some paths there. But for the viewers who don't know, Danny and I played youth national team together for a very long time in the U20s. And then I was able to recruit Danny to come out to Norway with me. Yeah. What do you remember from our time in Norway, besides them playing Tottenham on Thursday in the Europa League semifinal?
I know. Unbelievable to see where that club is now. I tell people all the time, one of the best experiences for sure of my life. I was injured most of it, as you know, which made it a little bit more difficult when you're away from family and friends, but a beautiful place, unbelievably humble and nice people, and an awesome little city up there. So we had some good times for sure. Some good golf, maybe for 1 week, because that's all the weather really allowed. But it was an awesome experience.
We probably went to Kafka, which is a coffee shop.
Oh yeah,
4 days a week.
At least.
And it's interesting though, because if you watched their game against in the last round of the Europa League Cup, our good buddy, the guy we played on the right side together. I was right back, you were right winger, and our right center back, Breda, came on late, scored a PK, banged it in. But yeah, I remember the craziest one was you flew out. Jan flew you out, and you flew straight to our first preseason game, coming off an injury, and Jan wanted you to play. And you were like, I don't know if I'm good. He's like, no, Danny, you're fine. And you ended up getting hurt. And I was thinking, like, you're the psychopath. I know you're always like warrior heart on your sleeve. They can never pull you off the field. But how, like, I think that's a testament to how you were as a player. Because I was like, what are you even doing on the pitch, man?
Yeah, I remember that game. It definitely set me back. But I was so excited, man. Honestly, I was so excited to get there. And to get to know everybody, and obviously having you there made it so much easier to adapt and know what to expect, especially somebody at that point, I think had been in MLS 6 years or something like. It's all I really knew. So it was definitely a change. But I tell you what, some of those memories when you think about Keizer-Varden and if I'm saying that right, by the way,
yeah.
You know, walking the trails there, and then just never knowing when you wake up what weather to expect, and some days having snow, and then the next day it feels like it's 100 degrees. It's just literally all over the place. But I tell everybody here, because they all know, all my players obviously know about Buda now, and they're following them. Once Buda got that goal, I'm like, it's a tough place to go and play. So, they're in it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No, for sure. I mean, I think a 2-0 result, they've they're undefeated at home, if I'm not mistaken, in the Europa League. Obviously, famously beat Mourinho's team,
Roma.
I think 6-1 or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy because when we were there, the academy players are now the stalwarts.
Yeah.
Saltness scored last game. We both.
Yeah.
He was on our right side. It was Breda.
Oh yeah.
And then Saltness was with us, and you were the winger, and I was the right back. And then Patrick and Frederick, the left back and the captain holding mid, were both like the 16-year-old academy kids. And you're like, these could be pretty good one day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool to see where they are now. It really is. It really is.
And then following your career path, obviously coming back, we both left Glimt after 2015. And 2016, you signed here in Minnesota. What memories, and take us back into a time pre-MLS days, just in terms of being here in Minnesota and some of the like I said, the pre-MLS days when you were playing Christian, Ibarra, the squad you guys had.
Yeah. Brent Coleman, who was there even after I left. No, I look, when that opportunity came, I was really, really excited. Obviously, there was a lot of noise about the club going into MLS. So it was a big year for everybody. But honestly, the things that I remember most are the people that we got to be around. There's still a couple people that were with me when I was in Minnesota. They're still there with you today that you build really good relationships with, that I think is important, especially in this industry. Angie and Durkee, they're just good people, right? And so regardless of league, NASL, MLS, it didn't matter. You want to be around good people in anything that you're doing. And then you talk about the people of Minnesota as well. Whether it was at games, whether it was at an appearance, whatever it was. Really, really humble, really, really welcoming. And those are the things that you want when you're moving into a new city and you have no idea what to expect. Now, I will tell you, you ask one thing that I certainly remember is the first time ever and last time in Minnesota that I walk out without gloves on walking my dog because my hands almost fell off in the winter. But beautiful summers, obviously beautiful lakes. It was a great experience. It really was.
We did that. That's awesome. And I echo a lot of that coming here 2 years ago. We just got our first warm day was today, May 5th.
There you go.
We finally got through it. It's crazy. But yeah, I think, and I'll ask you about this a little bit later, but something that's key with clubs, and you see it at Glimt. I mean, you look at the assistant coach is still the same, doctor's still the same, equipment manager still the same, team admin, Holvard's still there after the game, good people. So when you have those good people and they're stalwarts within the club to kind of help bridge some of the gaps of coaching changes, player changes, and everything like that. Durkee and Angie have been here for a while, and they're some of the longest tenured people in the entire organization. So when you bring up those names and some of the memories you have of them, I think that's extremely important. And is that something, you've been now at Louisville for a bit, that you're trying to keep some of that continuity, because you've played in, some very big clubs domestically, obviously with Glimt. Is that something you want to bring in, just some of those people that are constantly just there and some of the pillars in your organization?
Yeah, I think it's really important that you have an alignment in culture and values. And certainly people that have been here over time throughout the success of the club. I think it's important that you keep those people within the organization, and there's give and take there as far as them being good at what they do as well. And that helps the engine run. And so, it's really important to me in any aspect, in any position that I'm hiring, any player that is coming in, that they understand the values and the expectations and the culture here at this club. We first and foremost want good people. We want people that want to push themselves to reach a higher level, for sure. And we want to help develop them and get them there. At the same time, the understanding of expectation is that we're here to win championships. This is an organization that takes care of their people. It's an organization that believes in building the right infrastructure so that you can win. And we have an ownership group that believes in those things. And so I'm proud to work for the people that I work for and with. And it always goes back to, do you have alignment in values? Do you have alignment in culture? And if you have those things, you put yourself in the best position for sure to be successful as a team, as a club, and an overall organization.
Change to Chill is a free, award-winning mental well-being resource offered by Allina Health. Our interactive website is tailored to both youth and the supportive adults in their lives. Change to Chill helps teens become more aware of the things that stress them out and equips them with relevant tools and resources to better manage stress and anxiety so they can live happier, more resilient lives. Learn more at changetochill.org. That's well put. You should put that on like a billboard. And you used to be fair as a player, you used to live that, right? Training hard, being a good person, being a good teammate, whether you're in the 11, whether you're out of the 11, treating people in the organization the right way. So you used to live those things more than you actually probably, put it together very eloquently like you did. But let's talk about just kind of how you got to Louisville. Obviously played here, and then eventually went to work with our old friend, Coach Hack. And that was kind of your intro into Louisville. What did you learn from Coach Hack? You could probably talk a whole podcast just on this, but
well, you know him well too.
Of course. What was that experience like working with him?
Well, it's funny. When I retired in the Real Salt Lake organization, and I became a coach there, an assistant coach under Mark Briggs. And then Hack got the job here in Louisville, and he asked me to come here and be his assistant. One of the biggest things that I learned from Hack is it all about, for me, how do you get the best out of the individuals that you're working with on a daily basis? And one of the easiest ways to do that is having an understanding of what are they pushing for, what are they striving for, and who are they as people? Who are the people that you can push? Like ourselves, when we were playing, coaches could push us and they could say what they want to say to us. And for us, it helped drive us, right? And then there's players that, they need an arm around the shoulder. They're not going to respond at their best with that sort of, call it directness. So the understanding of those things, but building that relationship with the individuals becomes key. And I know I'm saying that a lot, but I genuinely believe that is the most important part about management. The soccer side is obviously important with regard to winning games. But we all have an understanding tactically of how we want to play. And then it's, can you get your players to do that? But ultimately, you have to have a group of people that are bought into the same values and the same drive to want to win. You do that by understanding what makes them tick.
Yeah. So their why is kind of what you're saying. Once you figure out their why, and then something we learned in school through one of the classes I was in, one of the emotional development classes, was the kind of the ability to pry at each different player. And me and you were tough love guys. We came a little bit old school, right? You can kind of watch film. Hey, you effed up. You did this. And some guys, like you're saying, maybe in the younger generation, I'll say, are a little bit, in my opinion, the criticism that they need at times isn't the way we used to receive it. But again, I think kind of a good leader, what you're saying is understanding that and then figuring out the way to deliver certain messages, right?
Yep.
To keep everyone involved. And Hack did that, and you were like that as a player. You were able to connect with the Spanish guys, with the Norwegian guys. You're kind of able to float around the locker room and kind of make those connections, which is, is it safe to say that's like you as a player in a locker room has helped you transition into you as a coach now managing a locker room?
Oh, no question. No question. I think, look, I am still, and my group would tell you this, I am still wear my heart on my sleeve. The players know when I'm frustrated, know when I'm happy, know when I'm sad, know when I'm having a bad day. I don't hide anything from them, because I believe in the transparency and the honesty, and we're all human. Again, I try to make sure that we put together a group of players that in the video room, using your example, all understand that criticism is coming from one place, and that's wanting to get better and wanting to win games, that it's obviously never personal. We need to be better and be held accountable in certain areas, depending on, what we're going through. But I took a lot of those experiences as a player, a lot of the different managers that I played under, who all had different styles and different ways. And I learned from them, and I learned what I liked. I learned what I didn't like. I never, still to this day, don't ever believe, I don't think any of us as coaches should ever believe we have all the answers, because we're constantly evolving, right? And we're constantly trying to problem solve. So I'm certainly definitely the same person that I was as a player. I've learned a lot and grown, I think, through ups and downs.
Yeah. And that's fair. I mean, you have Dominic Kinnear,
Yeah.
very specific style coach. And then you have Jan, right? I don't think Jan ever said, Jan, everything was positive all the time. And again, I think that you're spot on in the sense of everyone, you can take a lot of positive, negative from all the coaches. Jan did it, you do it, I've done it, everyone's done it. So, in saying that, eventually now you're working under Hack, you're learning, you're seeing how he processes things. He moves on to St. Louis. Interim head coach. Give me your, and maybe I'm sure you've spoken on, give me your thoughts to stepping into the role and being an interim head coach and then going on to have a very successful end of that season. And then now to just being on the full coach, day in and day out, or the gaff, as you might say.
Yeah. No, I would say initially, look, I think I was either 31 or 32.
Yeah.
And the initial thought was I was excited, but man, how am I going to replicate the success that this organization has had year after year? And that at times, initially at the very beginning was like, okay, I have to figure out how to manage my own emotion through all of this and the pressure and things like that. But ultimately, it turned to just excitement and, okay, what is my process? How do I want that process to be? And how do I get a group of players to make sure that we're aligned on the ultimate goal, which was winning a championship. And so, like I said, a lot of ups, a lot of downs for sure, especially in that first year. I learned a lot. I was fortunate to be around some people within the organization that were really, really supportive. I asked a lot of questions. I asked a lot of questions of my staff, of people above me, to make sure that I was constantly trying to learn. But again, I genuinely felt that I had a group of players that I helped assemble with Hack. So players that I knew well. I had an assistant coach relationship with them at the time. Tried not to change that dynamic too much there in the first year, because we were all in it together, right? And we ended up having a pretty good season. Ended in heartbreak that year, but learned a ton. And certainly made me a better coach, being put into the situation that I was in.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, from afar, I've always been following you. We've been buddies for a long time now, and it's been awesome. To see you grow as a manager, to see the outfit changes, to see the relationship you've had with your players. One of my good buddies, Paulo Del Piccolo, was your captain for a bit there.
Yeah.
And just to hear some of the things that they speak about, and I've known Brian Ownby for a bit. But again, to hear the way you've carried yourself, the way you've learned, the way you are unapologetically yourself, the way you've just, again, managed things is inspiring as someone who just got into the coaching world recently, man. It's been really cool to kind of see you grow into the person, into the coach you are. And obviously you're still moving and things are changing, but it seems like you guys are trying to really build something special there. Two of my close buddies in Portland were transplants from Louisville. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but
yeah, you're close.
They're transplants, and just told me the rich history of the club. So coming up here, we play you guys in the Open Cup. For the Minnesota fan, what makes Louisville so special? Why is it such a special place to play and to coach?
Yeah, I think it really is a community-based organization. Our fans are incredible. The environment that your players, and if any of your fans are able to make it, are going to be in is pretty amazing for this level. Our facilities are tremendous. Our stadium is just like MLS stadiums that you play in week out, or that your players are used to. And then when you look at the history of this club and where we've come from to where we are now, the growth has been amazing. It's been amazing to be a part of as well. Our stadium's right downtown. It overlooks the city in the background, the skyline in the background. And it really is, when you look at the people, again, I go back to this community is genuine, they're authentic, and they're welcoming. And the bourbon and the horse racing and all those things are real. Let me tell you that. Like that is a key component of Louisville, Kentucky.
This past weekend.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Derby. Yeah. It's an unbelievable week here. Like people from all over the world, obviously, and we get to show off our city and our community. And but it really is an amazing place to live with really good people.
That's awesome, man. And again, I've heard such good things. Paulo went to school there.
Yeah.
Ended up captaining the team. And he's almost a lifer there. I think he got his coach. He's my coaching license course.
Yeah.
And just speaks incredibly highly. But just give us your thoughts going into the match this weekend. Nothing, obviously nothing. We'll keep it PG.
Yeah.
But I know we're excited to go and play somewhere. I love the Open Cup. You have some incredible matchups, and for me, when I saw the draw, it was extremely exciting because it's going to be an incredibly fun match. And I've heard so many good things about playing in your guys' stadium, and just looking forward to experience it firsthand.
Yeah, we're just as excited. I think anytime, and you've played in the Open Cup for years. It's one of my favorite tournaments as well. I am really excited with how the format was done this year, as far as some MLS teams at home, some away. When I saw Minnesota United, I couldn't do anything but smile. It's exciting because obviously a former club of mine, a club that I have so much respect for. I'm expecting it to be a difficult game. Obviously, we're trying to go through, obviously from a preparation standpoint, what could it look like? I mean, you have 70 players that I got to prepare for, in your organization. So, but again, we're excited. Difficult team. Obviously watched the game against Austin, which was a great game to watch. I'm sure everybody in the building was happy with that performance, but it'll be an entertaining game. I can probably guarantee that. So
yeah, listen, I echo all those things, and I know from my standpoint, just being able to, I love the Open Cup because it gives you, it highlights all the hidden gems of MLS, right? And yeah. I've said it a few times now, and I'm extremely excited to get out there. See, maybe before the match, we'll see, depending on when the flight is and stuff. But
yeah,
no, like I said, I know the fans are looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great match. Two good teams that play two good styles, and may the best man win. But again, Danny, dude, thank you so much for coming on and telling your story, and again, reintroducing yourself to our fan base that I know you have a very dear place in our hearts, for a lot of us that have been in the organization a bit. Every time when I told Angie, when I told Durkee, a few of the people, hey, I got Danny on the pod, they were so excited. So thank you again for coming on to the Sound of Loons podcast, brought to you by Line of Health, bud.
Well, thank you very much, man. And wishing you guys nothing but the best, obviously, except Wednesday. So
sounds good, buddy. We'll talk soon.